Well, I mean, drones are only like a technology that is being used today. It's no different than your computer, to be honest. It's just a tool, a tool to observe something from a different point of view. But the fact that today these tools are being used to kill people anywhere in the world is an issue. The fact that we no longer spend the amount of time to train a human being to be boots on the ground, to be in country, to interact with their people, and we train children, like myself was once, in order to push a button and hunt people down and kill them while sitting in a comfortable place, is kind of like this weird abstraction of morality today.
Mm.
And I think that that's really the issue, isn't the fact that drones exist, it's the fact that it's a technology that can be used and misused so easily.
Yeah, because I read, I don't know if it's true, but I read that the American military recruits children who's played a lot of video games to the military.
I don't know if that's true, but I grew up playing a lot of video games. I was recruited into the program because of my ability to take tests and my high scores in a lot of things. But I was really naive. I didn't understand what was going on or what I was doing. I just thought it was really cool. I trained for it my whole life. So it is one of those things that they could possibly be going after people with the skill set required to do it because it means less training for them to have to do.
Yeah. And what did you exactly do?
I was an MQ-1 Bravo Predator sensor operator. I controlled the camera, I followed people, I basically hunted human beings down from this aircraft, and then if required, I would guide the missile to the target via laser.
And you worked there for 6 years?
Yes.
And why did you quit?
I quit mostly because my contract was up, and when I left the program, I never wanted to hear the word drone or talk about it ever again. But I had a crisis of conscience where I just kept seeing things pop up on the news that were lies or misrepresentations of what drone operators actually did. And so I was encouraged to actually get out and speak about what we do in our involvement in the whole process.
And in an earlier interview, you said that this job took your humanity away. What did you mean by that?
So imagine you're sitting there. You're sitting in a cold box, about 3 meters wide and 8 meters long, and 6 meters tall. No, I'm getting my meters. Anyways, forget about dimensions. It's a small cold box, and you sit there and you observe people living their lives out. You watch a guy plant a bomb in the road, go home and interact with his family. His wife is hanging clothes on the clothing line. He kicks a soccer ball back and forth with his kid. And you're sitting there in a cold, dark box, waiting for this person to present an opportunity to kill. No capture, no bringing him in for questioning, but you're waiting to kill this person. You're waiting for him to die. That strips you of your humanity because you're not living your life. You're not going out there. You're not being the person that celebrates the birthdays or goes out and has burgers and beers or goes to a tea shop with their friends or a coffee shop. You're the one that's sitting there waiting to execute someone. And that's how I felt like my humanity was stripped away. I lost my humanity and I gave it to the people that I was observing.
But when you hear all these negative things about drones, why do the American military still use it?
Because it's easy. There's lots of money in it. Technology's going that way. If they can have successful tests and avenues that are being played out over in a war zone, they can easily convert that to police usages. If they can use metadata, you know what metadata is? If they can use that to track an insurgent down, they can use it to track down criminals in the States. But then that means that what becomes a criminal, what warrants that type of technology to be used against them is up to people who have the ability to use that technology. And it's most likely going to be abused, an easy avenue out, you know, to take that person out rather than capturing them. You know, if we have the ability to singularly target one individual in a group of hundreds and execute that person without any damage to anyone else, and we believe that he's a bad guy, it's easy. It's easy to kill. Any idiot can do it.
Mm. But who decides who you're gonna kill? Do you just get a folder on your desk, or?
We are in constant communication with someone anywhere in the world. There's probably around 500 people just watching your video feed at one time, so you have a lot of input. But the person giving the order is someone who, you know, I'm sitting there watching this screen, and there's someone somewhere else in the world analyzing the video.
Okay.
And so they're the ones that are saying, okay, this is what's going on. And then they pass that information on to someone else. And that person sits there and says, okay, this might be bad activity. And then he passes it on to someone else. And that person says, okay, if this is bad activity, you can shoot, but you need this guy's permission. And so they send it up to another guy and says, this is bad guys doing bad things. We need your signature on this. And the guy's like, yep, you have my signature, and then it goes back down the chain. So there's a lot of information that's lost on each hop, but it takes a while for them to get approval, but the approval process is easy to get.
Yeah, okay.
And that's another thing that disconnects people. Oh, this guy's doing bad things? Yeah, here's my initials. Here's this. I don't need to know what's happening. I don't need to understand what's going on.
Yeah. And you did this for 6 years? Every day, or was it kind of like once a month, or?
Pretty much every day. It was 6 days a week, 12-hour work shifts with maybe a day or two between each work week. And that was at the high point of it. And there was, I mean, I didn't get to go to my grandparents' funerals because I was working. I had my days off taken away from me. I worked for 4.5 months straight without a day off a couple times. So it was like, I mean, you're in this position over a long period of time, and it's draining. It wears you out. You're doing the same thing over and over again without any reward. You feel disconnected from yourself. You don't talk about it with your peers. You know, no one wants to talk about stuff. One pilot was like, you want to be a philosopher? Philosophers will never make any money. And so it's like discussing these types of issues with the people that you work. I mean, they do it. They do it day in and day out. They don't want to talk about it. They get enough of it. And so it's a hard thing to just sit there and conceptualize and process and do it. And that's why when I left, I didn't want anything else to do with it. And I didn't understand what PTSD was, or moral injury, or trauma, or anything like that. I didn't understand the fact that, you know, human interaction is incredibly important, but it's also understanding, like, no matter what distance that you're at, that you're human and that person's human as well. And we try so much to take away their humanity that it ends up just stripping us of ours.